I want us to think about managing and keeping teams productive. What are some of those behavioural changes or ways of working that founders need to try and either embody or encourage in those first early hires?
I guess establishing those rituals really early is key, and they're often things that are really overlooked in the early days because you sort of think, well, the ritual is we're all in this fun warehouse together and we all know each other, and the ritual is we're all working really closely on things. But to have things like your all hands or your weekly reports or your updates on what it is that you're working on, your whips, they really add that sort of rigor to the business and sort of, know that people are accountable, and that sort of really aids that productivity more so than just, everyone knows what everyone's working on. Sure, but sort of codify that and get it concrete, and that does a lot for people being accountable.
In terms of having your, not so much processes per se, but it is that are you doing stand-ups? It's going back to basics. How many times a week? How many times does your team meet up? How many times are you having all hands for your company? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? Like having all of those at the very beginning, I think makes a difference, because then once you start building on top of it and go, we need to now put KPIs, we need to put goals in, we need to add more things on top. If you've got the base structure or your foundational ways of working, then you can add more things on top. And it just becomes easier to integrate into your BAU as well.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest behaviours founders need to learn is to let go. And that kind of thing is often the bit that they should let go. And clearly I'm biased because I'm in people and culture, but that's often the role people and culture play. And I know that's a role I've played, and my background sort of lends itself to that. But I think about performance and communication and engaging people and having things that like pull everybody together. And the founders typically are laser focused on whatever it might be, right? It's, this is our, X profit date that we have to reach here, or is our break even point, or we need to win this big custom that we've set our eyes on. And they should be laser focused on that. So often it's better for them to let some of that go and have someone else come in and say, hey, have you thought about, why don't you let me do that for you?
So how would you then maintain productivity without micromanagement or being overly surveillant? So it's giving people that autonomy, but how do you create that culture of productivity where people have agency and they don't feel like they're being watched?
A really good sort of empowering attitude that we took to this early days when we were small is that we had founders that are, smart, capable, wanting to be involved in everything, but can't be. And so something that we used to stick to was trust but verify. And that was sort of a common phrase that like early stage managers or founders would use to say, I trust you with the work, but I'm going to verify that it's on track. And verification looks like a weekly report or a daily stand-up or a monthly stand-up, whatever it was, depending on who the employee was, sort of the level of experience and trust given to them, and also whatever the project was they're working on. So trust but verify is something that can be really empowering for both a founder in letting go, but also an employee in stepping up.
And letting go is obviously difficult for founders when it's been
It's their baby.
Their baby. Yeah, exactly. They're very high velocity, intense work environments. How do you think about management of wellbeing of people in early stage startups?
It can be really tricky because founders, yes, they're employees of the company, but there's so much more than that. They're sort of the parent of the company, for want of a better word. Particularly early stage, you can have employees that sort of look to founders as sort of a role model, and they're seeing someone that's working 60 hours a week and their hair's standing on end and they're staying up all night to get everything done. And you get employees that want to mirror that and mirror that attitude, and that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for founders to do it, but I understand why they do it.
They're the ones that are called the A players.
Yeah,
and
that's
then you're
right.
like, if they're A players, do we need to do what they're doing because they're burning themselves out? So then in terms of, how do you manage that? It's sort of, creating that attitude and that culture around it's okay to not do that. While I wouldn't say to founders work less, I mean, work as much as you need to work, it's your business, but also, make it clear that that's not the expectation for everybody. You do expect high standards and you do expect great outcomes, but in a sustainable manner as well.
Yeah. Or conversely, controversial opinion, you just accept that that's how it is and you tell people straight up front as they walk through the door, this is the kind of place where the founder is online at 7 a.m. and finishes at midnight, and you might get a message and they are going to expect that you respond, and just be upfront and be honest. And I'm not saying it's good. However, if you tell people and they're aware of it, they sign up to it willingly, and you would hope, again, no perfect science, but you would hope that as a result, their mindset and their mentality says, I'm fine with that. I want to be part of that world. And I've worked both. I've worked very hectic places, and I had a founder who was like, I don't get why people don't want it as much as I do. I don't understand. If I message you at 6 o'clock, it's not that late. You should respond. And you can have honest conversations, but like at the end of the day, sometimes you do need to be honest and just say, this is how it is.
Yeah.
It might suck. If you want work-life balance, this is not going to be the place for you. And that can be well-being. You know, that can be something that for that person is well-being because they're driven like that.
So thinking about companies then beyond those first 5 hires, maybe you're at 10, 20 more, and we're thinking about that founder to executive transition. What are the clear signals that tell you it's time to bring in experienced leadership?
From my experience working in startups, kind of look more within first to see if there's someone in your leadership team that's like, hey, tap me in, coach, like I'm ready to go. I've got the growth mindset. I've kind of, grown the team and the revenue of this company from A, B, and C. If that's not possible, making sure that you're looking not necessarily just because someone's in your network and said, hey, this person was a great CRO or this person was a great CFO, making sure that they're in line with your vision and culture as well, and that they're able to have those challenging conversations with you as well. But at the same time, back to basics, like do you want to work with this person? I think is really important.